My biggest struggles in quitting marijuana. Today I'm going to go over some of the things I really had a hard time with in quitting marijuana and some of the lessons I've learned along the way that can maybe be of aid to you as you go through your journey. The first thing is patience. And when I say patience, I mean lack of patience. This is something I've been struggling with my whole life, and I'm still working on it today, even after 7 years clean. The hardest thing for me is wanting things to happen fast. And I think a lot of that comes from past trauma, from having that scarcity mindset of things not working out in the past and thinking that I have to make up for this lost time right here, right now. And this has drove me to make a lot of impulsive decisions across my marijuana recovery journey. And I say it as a word of caution because this world moves fast and there's a lot of stimulus that goes on in life, and I'm no different than many of you that I want to accomplish as much as I can and have as many great experiences in this life as I can. And over this journey, I've had to learn that takes time. Life takes time. And in fact, the more patient I am, the more I get to experience those things. And there is kind of like an unspoken thing that, like, to get stuff done, you should work really hard all the time, 24/7, never stop, never sleep, eat one if you can, and then you'll accomplish all your dreams. And although you can't lie, that's worked for some people, it hasn't worked for me. And the more patient I can be, the more I can still do the work, but take it at a steady pace. Take a deep breath once in a while. As you can see, I get a lot of anxiety, especially when I get excited. The more success I'm going to find across this journey. The next thing I'm going to say has been my biggest struggle is anxiety. It's something that I've always had as a kid, and I was not aware of it. Being in situations that caused me stress, I would either feel excitement, which is what I wanted to feel and why I chose drugs and alcohol, because that anxiety could turn into excitement. Or the other, where I feel panic and fear and anxiety and, well, anxiety, of course, all the sides of the emotion that I don't want to feel and kind of push away. Now, the more I can be okay to feeling that anxiety, breathing with it, being one with it, being calm with it, the better I feel and the less intense and powerful it is. That being said, though, working on my anxiety has been very helpful and is a really important thing, I think, in marijuana recovery, to live a happy, healthy life. And there may be a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie, there may be lots of layers to it. And so the more I can work on identifying those layers, going into meditation, journaling, prayer, all that stuff, the better I feel in the long term and the less anxiety has a control over my life. The next struggle has been relationships. I talk about that a lot on this channel, that relationships were not something that I ever really excelled at until later in life. And even today, I still have to work on them, and there's still things that I'm unaware of when it comes to relationships. I just didn't know how to communicate very well. I didn't understand the importance of listening and active listening amongst that. Not needing to always talk and be the center of attention. Again, that comes from childhood and feeling insecure in myself and wanting to have other people give me that validation. As I grow older, though, I know that, okay, that's not the way to go about it. And that's only going to lead to, honestly, the irony of it is more people not liking you. So not that I'm saying do this so people like you, but understanding yourself and being better at relationships is going to yield happy, healthier relationships in the long term and make, let's be honest, everyone feel better and be able to add some more joyful memories and experiences to your bucket. The next thing that I've learned here, and this is one I've learned very recently, like an hour ago, as I was talking to my recovery sponsor. I talked about this in the last video, which you can check out down below. It is that life is not always going to be good. Life is not always going to be blissful, and there's not gonna be excitement every time I see a friend or a relationship happens. Like, there's gonna be moments of discomfort and pain. And where I really struggle is I want things to be happy all the time. I wanna be in this blissed out state 24/7. Well, I don't. As I learned this now, I don't want that because I know it's not healthy. But up until about an hour ago, this is what my main drive for living was to be happy all the time and to feel pleasure all the time. And whenever I would feel not pleasure and I wouldn't feel happy, or I feel bored or whatever, I would get really upset, and it would really seem like something's like crashing down and I'm having a catastrophe or what have you. So learning how to be okay and not being okay, learning how to be happy within the depression, being happy, not being happy, however you want to put it, has really allowed me to, I've been training on this all along. I think today was just a culmination where it finally kind of clicked and made sense. The more I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just chilling. I'm at peace. It's like, nice. There's not bliss. There is kind of bliss because there's peace. There's not bliss like ecstatic excitement, but there's peace, and that feels really, bloody good. And that can be for you too. I know it's not easy. Why we have that desire for pleasure all the time, again, I think it comes back to past trauma, to having situations in life that didn't work out the way we wanted to, and therefore it can feel like maybe life slighted us or what have you. And of course that's not true. It's just that because of those experiences, whenever an opportunity of pain comes up that is a reminder of that in the subconscious, because oftentimes it's really hard to remember consciously, that it creates that trigger reaction of, oh no, something's not right, I need to fix it, I need to solve it. You know, you get the drill. So the last thing I'm going to say that has been a big struggle for me in recovery has been perfectionism. Wanting things to be just right all the time, kind of like what I said in the last one. Wanting to say the perfect thing in text, wanting to have the perfect relationships and never say something wrong or never embarrass myself, and do everything I possibly can not to. Because of that desire, I've learned a lot of great skills to prevent that from happening, from self-awareness and developing better communication styles. However, it's still gonna happen, and it still happens today. And the more I fight it and try to make it not be what it is, which is I'm human and I'm gonna make mistakes, I'm gonna say things that don't make sense, and I'm sure everyone watching here has watched my videos. It could probably point out hundreds of things that I said wrong or weird or whatever. It's not a reality though. It's not a reality to live in this perfect fairy tale cookie cutter world, including with relationships, right? I'm not gonna have perfect relationships. I'm gonna have great relationships and ones that bring me joy and happiness at moments, right? Not all the time, or we learned that lesson. But there's gonna be moments where I'm not in harmony with the person, or we're not on the same page, or we didn't understand each other, we had a miscommunication. That happens a lot because I'm here in Mexico and I can't always understand what the people are saying. So in that sense, yeah, everything is constantly imperfect. Nothing's ever perfect. This video isn't perfect, and we could go on for hours and hours. You kind of get the drift though, that the more you can accept the imperfections of life and with yourself, I think the better you can be in the long term, and the more happiness you can have, because it takes that pressure off. It takes the pressure off of always to be on, need to perform all the time, not being able to be yourself. And guys, we got a bonus here, not being myself. This has been a lifelong journey, and it almost gets me a little going inside thinking about it, because it's been so hard to be myself at times. It's been so hard to just feel okay in my own skin, be able to say what I want to say, express how I want to express, be okay with the outcome, something I'm still working on, letting go of the outcome. And I'll have moments today where I'm not myself, where I try to be a certain thing and it comes off inauthentic because, yeah, I'm not being true to who I am. And each time it happens, it's a wake up. It's a lesson that, okay, Joel, you're not being yourself, and that's okay. I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to be hard on you. I'm not going to criticize you. Just again, coming back to that not being perfect. Like, there's going to be times when I'm inauthentic. And again, this comes back to the more of the recognition and the awareness that develops, the less of an issue, or I'm not going to say issue, but a less of a thing that becomes. And now I feel, as long as I'm, eating well and staying true to who I am and staying off binge watching TV all the time, I can be pretty authentic and have a pretty good time. So guys, before we get into the last couple here, because a couple more came up, hit the link down below for sober living coaching, and comment on anything that's been your biggest struggle in marijuana recovery or addiction recovery in general. So maybe the last thing that came to mind is being too hard on myself. This kind of plays into the perfectionism as well. I have very high standards for who I am in my life, and I'm learning that although that's a feature, not a bug, at sometimes it can be a hindrance, because I forget to let life just be life, and just to have fun and let my inner child play, and not need everything to be perfect. Like I said before, like, just let it be as it is and be okay. And when I do make mistakes, I do have that tendency to be really critical with myself and really analyze what I did. Again, it's a double-edged sword, because that's a really healthy thing to do as well. Like, if we're making mistakes, we want to learn from those mistakes and be able to be honest and authentic with what has gone on and take responsibility for our part in things. Sometimes though, I can do it to an extreme where I just get so frustrated at myself, and I kind of have that exacerbated just because it's exhausting. And so every time I talk to my recovery sponsor, he's like, hey man, like, don't beat yourself up. Like, you're being very hard on yourself. He does address it when I am. And give yourself a pat on the back for all the things you're doing right. And so a really good exercise for that is writing down everything that you're doing well in your life right now. All the positives, all the benefits, all the things that you've done for yourself in the last month, 6 months, year, to really better your life. All the things that you did today, maybe you helped somebody, maybe you were kind to your family member. All of those things are really gonna be able to retrain the mind to be like, oh yeah, I am a good person. I got a lot going for me. life's good. And it was really fun to be able to talk about some of the things I've struggled with, because I talk about a lot of the good things. I think it's important to realize and to remember for the audience out there is that I'm a human too. I'm not perfect. I'm making mistakes every single day, and the more I can work on them, that's just what life's about, like learning and growing and having fun in the process. So with that, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Have a great one, and talk to you soon. Peace.